guys, welcome to video 1 of our course. I'm so excited about this. In this video, we're going to be talking about ways to prepare for your birth while you are pregnant. And the number one way to do that is to take responsibility for your health now. Remember, birth is a marathon, and it's going to take a lot of your mental capacity, emotional capacity, and physical capacity to be able to accomplish. Now, don't be panicking if you're like, I'm 38 weeks and I haven't done anything. It's okay. It's never too late to actively start taking care of yourself and actively start being conscious about what you're eating and what you're doing and all of these things. So everything that you do positive is building towards that positive birth experience. But don't worry if you have a cheat day, it's not going to mean, if you have a bowl of ice cream once in a while, it's not going to mean you're going to have a 35-hour labor or something like that. And there's always hope for having good birth outcomes. And sometimes you're going to do everything right and things are still not going to turn out ideally in your birth, and that's okay too. Remember, we can't predict what the future holds. We can only just do our best and just take care of yourself and do everything you can to make sure that you're just being proactive. Drink water, make sure your plates are colorful, all kinds of things. And no matter what you're doing, find a balance. Eat healthy foods, but also give yourself the grace to have something that spoils you a little bit, because you're creating a human being. You deserve it. And find a balance with your activity level too, because there used to be a recommendation that women shouldn't exercise while they're pregnant and stuff like that, and they've come to realize that it's not so much that you shouldn't exercise, it's that you shouldn't do more while you're pregnant than what you did while you weren't pregnant. If you're a bodybuilder while you're pregnant, then you can keep lifting weights. It's totally fine. But don't start those major health changes while you're pregnant. So, if you went on walks regularly, go on walks regularly. That's awesome. And even if you ran, you can still run. Just be very careful and under the protection of your care provider. Everybody's different. Everybody needs to double check with their provider. So yeah, finding that balance of making sure that you're doing what you need to do, but also, taking care of your mental and emotional self that sometimes just needs a little treatment. The second suggestion I have for a healthy pregnancy, labor, and birth is to choose your care provider wisely. Look for the perfect care provider. Don't settle for anybody. There's some things that you definitely want to make sure your care provider has, like low C-section rates, supports your birth plan, but also, choose a care provider that personality that you jive with. If they are annoying when you're not in labor, imagine how much more annoying they will be when you are in labor. It's definitely not something you want to be throwing into your birth space. And you just want them to be overall supportive and encouraging, and not like, if you're saying, I want to birth standing on my head on my roof, and they're just like, yay, go for it. You're not wanting someone who will go with anything you say no matter what. But someone who is supportive of you choosing things on your birth plan that are evidence-based, should be a minimum. And also, I would caution strongly against going with a provider who uses words like, I won't let you, etc. I won't let you go over a certain time. I won't let you labor over a certain time. Those are power words that means that the care provider thinks that they have more control than they actually do over the birthing situation, and think that they have say over your consent on what is best for you in your situation. And that is just not true. And if you think that they're only going to say it in prenatal visits, but surely they won't say that when I'm in labor, you are wrong. So make sure that you are choosing a provider that is using language that indicates that they support your decisions and support your right to make those decisions. And we're going to be talking later in the course about what are your rights as a patient, what are your rights as a parent, so that you can know how to advocate for yourself. And then the third step I recommend is to learn about your medical options in advance, because if your doctor is telling you things and you didn't research that certain element, then you're going to be at a complete loss when it comes to how to make a decision in that moment, and you're likely going to go with the care provider, whether or not it's truly what you want or not. Unfortunately, I see situations where a care provider will say, oh, I want to do this, and the patient accepts the intervention or whatever without really knowing all of that entails, especially, for instance, if a doctor recommends a certain kind of pain relief measure or something like that that has been known to interfere with breastfeeding, and I know that my client wanted to breastfeed, and I don't hear the care provider give any kind of information about that, saying, hey, just so you know, this could affect your ability to breastfeed your baby. Is it still okay? I find that very worrisome. So, but if you've done your research and I don't need to be taking that medication because it could affect my ability to breastfeed, you can at least question your doctor. You can say, okay, so I want to breastfeed, but this medication interferes with breastfeeding. Is it still the best option for me? And then he can give you the risks and benefits. It encourages a dialogue, which is, it's necessary for you to be fully informed and make an informed decision. So the only way that you can really protect yourself fully from that is to know your options before birth. And I have a helpful tool lower in the course on building your birth plan that will help you because I understand there's so much out there. How do I know, what to research? So I have compiled the most common things that you will be likely to be offered and have to make a decision over, and that will help you have a starting point for what to research, and how far you go beyond that is up to you. One of the greatest ways to stay informed and to know your options for birth, taking a birthing class is awesome. Recommend it to all your friends. So, and understand that when you're researching these things, don't assume that just because you're looking at this science and evidence-based information that, oh, well, this is evidence-based, that means my doctor's going to know about it and have it enforced. Unfortunately, studies show there's a 15-year gap from when that is discovered to when it becomes a commonplace in hospital settings. There's a variety of reasons that is, probably most of them boiling down to insurance and hospital policies. Policy advisors and policy creators in hospitals generally aren't in the trenches doctors, so that's why the updates are usually slow to come. So don't just assume that it's like, oh, well, I saw that it's evidence-based that delayed cord clamping is better for baby. Don't assume that just because that information is out there that that's what your care provider is going to automatically do. It is your responsibility as a patient and as a parent to say, hey, this is what the science says and this is what I want to do for me and my child. Don't rely on the care provider. And especially since even though you may discuss with your care provider in advance and come to an understanding about this certain thing that you want to make sure is done or not done, you don't know that that's who's going to be there when you go into labor. They could be out of town, they could be not on call, and there's just no way to fully guarantee with the way that birth settings are set up lately. I mean, even if you do a birthing center, it's possible that you're going to get a different midwife than the one you have. So having a birth plan is really essential to formulating what your research brought you to decide and making sure that you have it with you there. Another suggestion I have is to brush up on your maternity rights at work. The stress is just such a hindrance to our health and to our well-being. We know that. It's generally accepted that stress is bad for us. So when stress is bad for you, when you are operating at your optimal level, imagine how much worse it is for you when you're pregnant. You're already got a lot going on, and so anything you can do to reduce that stress, if there are projects around the house that could wait until after baby comes, that'll be easier to do when you're not pregnant, put them on the back burner. You do not have to accomplish everything in the world before baby comes. You will have time eventually and in small increments later. So, and make sure you know everything about your workplace after work. Make sure that you know how much time you can take off. Make sure you know what the breastfeeding situation will be afterwards. Like, you don't let those things pile up on you so that you're just like, oh, I'm so stressed out, I'm in labor and I don't know what work, so don't procrastinate on stuff like that. And the last step that I recommend is to plan for support once your baby arrives. A blessing, it's such a joy, but it is also, especially if you're a first-time parent, it's a lot. It's just so many things to keep track of, pooping and feedings and sleepings and you sleeping and you eating and all of these things. And there's definitely no shame in asking for help, because think about what civilizations looked like thousands of years ago. There were villages and women bonded together and cared for each other, and women who just had a baby didn't have to carry as much of the village load as the women who didn't have a brand new baby. Like, they were able to take time and space, and the people around you want to love on that baby anyway. So, make sure that you arrange childcare in advance. Arrange childcare for your other children if you're welcoming another baby. Give yourself some time to just be you and newborn, just to enjoy especially those first few days when everything is so new. I mean, it's just an amazing time. And more likely than not, those people who are visiting you want to help. They want to be involved. They just probably don't know how to ask. So make sure that you just tell them. She's like, hey, while you're holding the baby, I'm gonna take a quick shower. Or if your mom says, hey, I'm on the way, hey, can you grab me a hamburger or something from McDonald's or whatever? I need to eat something. I'm so hungry. These are easy things to ask. Post on Facebook and saying, hey, I'm so tired with the new baby. Would anybody mind making us a casserole and bringing it over? It's not begging. It's not saying that you're not a good mom. It's just saying that you would like a little help. And every single mom has been there. And we all know how exhausting it is. And we all probably wished we'd gotten a little more help. That being said, make sure that you're also getting the space from people that you need. If you really need more time to bond with your baby than you feel like you're getting, there needs to be a dialogue between the people that you love and just saying, hey, I know you're excited to see the baby, but I could really use some downtime with the baby. Can I just have a couple days and I'll call you when we're recouped and then you can come see them. It's so necessary that you have those bonding moments. That about sums it up for my 5 steps for having a healthy pregnancy, labor, and birth. Obviously, this is not everything, and there's a whole lot more down below that I can't wait to share with you. Here are the 5 steps. I just want to lay them out real quick for you. I want you to take responsibility for your health. I want you to be proactive and make good choices starting right now, wherever you are today. I want you to choose your maternity care provider and your birth setting wisely. Remember what your goals are and make sure they're supportive of your right to choose. I want you to learn about your option in advance. You have time. You got this. I want you to brush up on your maternity benefits at work, and I want you to plan for support once baby arrives. Those are my 5 steps for you to start working on as you work through the rest of the course. And remember, this course does not have a super tight time limit. You have a year to go through this course, and it is more meant to be a resource for you to use throughout your pregnancy. So working on these 5 steps as you work through the course can give you just a little something to work on, and is a good balance and a good coverall. Below I have some coping measures for normal, common pregnancy symptoms. Remember, if you're experiencing any extreme versions of all of these symptoms, call your care provider and see if you can get some help, and make sure that you ask him, what things can I do non-medically first before I go to medical options, just to be safe. But don't be afraid of the medical options, because they are there, they are a useful tool, and sometimes you just need it and there's nothing you can do about that. So again, coping measures below, check them all out, and then I will see you on video 2.